Hello, I'm Tylah Tully, and today we're diving into the challenges of treating relapsed or refractory T-cell lymphoma and exploring a novel therapy that could help change the outlook for patients. Joining me is Prescient Therapeutics CEO James McDonnell, who'll walk us through what makes this disease so difficult to treat, how PTX 100 is aiming to make a difference, and the promising results the company has seen so far in clinical trials. James, thanks for being here today.
A pleasure to be here, Taylor.
So can you start by telling us what is relapsed or refractory T-cell lymphoma and why is it so difficult to treat?
Yes, relapsed and refractory T-cell lymphoma is a cancer of the white cells. So white cells we normally use for our immune system, but they become cancerous and they tend to migrate to the periphery or in some cases into the skin where they sort of multiply and cause major issues. The definition of relapsed and refractory means that patients are either resistant to therapy or they've had a response and they've relapsed. So a lot of patients with T-cell lymphoma have a clear unmet need where they just need new therapies. And so there's a real opportunity here for PTX 100.
I think that's a nice segue. What is PTX 100 and how is it aiming to solve T-cell lymphoma?
PTX 100 is an inhibitor of general transferase 1. And that means it disrupts the RAS pathway. Now, the RAS pathway is actually involved in 22% of cancers. And so by disrupting that pathway, we can play a role in aiming to treat those cancers.
So is there a large unmet medical need here?
Yes, there is a large unmet medical need. I mean, there's 27,000 new T-cell lymphoma patients every year and in the top 8 markets. And the market size is expected to be 1.8 billion over that in 2030. But it is recognized that there is a clear unmet need, and PTX 100 has actually received a fast-track designation. And that's the FDA recognizing that there is an unmet need, and they have put PTX 100 into a expedited pathway, which is really, really encouraging. And we will progress that through. And we also have orphan drug designation. And so once we receive, or if we receive an approval, we will be into an exclusive market environment for 7 years in the US. So, there's definitely an unmet medical need, and there's also an opportunity for PTX 100.
So what are your results from phase 1B trials and what is the expectation for phase 2A?
Yeah, so we did research in a number of cancers, but T-cell lymphoma, we saw very promising results. In our phase 1B study, we saw that typically when we're aiming for a result, we're looking for a 30% response rate, and we saw 45% response rate. And to put that into context, a recently approved drug called Lymphir was approved with 36% response rate. The other good thing we saw was a thing called clinical benefit rate. And so this means that not only is there a response, but you may have stable disease. And patients typically have a progressive disease. So even creating the disease to be stable is a benefit for the patients. And we saw 64% of patients experience a clinical benefit rate. So that's pretty encouraging. And then the other component we saw, which is unusual to talk about, is our safety profile. Typically, we would see approved medicines having serious adverse events up in the 30% range. And when we did our phase 1B, we saw a 4% serious adverse event rate. So we're really creating a new treatment option for patients, but without adding additional burden to them. So that's really encouraging, and that's why we're encouraged.
Finally, is there an opportunity beyond treating CTCL?
Yes, at the moment our phase 2A is aimed at CTCL, which is the Cutaneous T-Cell Lymphoma. So where the lymphoma is attacking the skin, and following our 1B results, we feel that there's an opportunity here, and we'll, so it'll be based on the data. But what I mentioned earlier was that PTX 100 inhibits the RAS pathway. So it's a RAS pathway disruptor, and 22% of cancers have an involvement with RAS, are a potential target for PTX 100. And we need to do the work there. We're currently seriously focused on our CTCL study, but we do need to do more work with other cancers because there is a real opportunity there as well.
James, thank you so much for your time today and for sharing all of your insights.
Appreciate it.
For more ASX news and analysis, subscribe below.